Okay, good morning, everyone. All right, now she mentioned that, yes, my side hustle is writing. I do write stuff on the side, and I want to make that just clear to everyone so that some of these like extra things that I talk about during the presentation make a little bit more sense. Because I typically, when I give presentations like this, I'm in front of a room full of like creative writers and people who do illustrations and make films. So today I'm talking to a totally different group, but I'm still going to be talking a lot about motivation and how we motivate people who are in our lives, people who are in our workplaces, and other folks around us. So we're going to make sure you understand that I do have that side hustle on the side, as well as being the editor of Asphalt Pro magazine. That's the day job. And we do want to keep in mind that when we have a side hustle, when we have a side dream, the day job is what we have to survive. The day job is where we have to keep our energies focused, right? Okay, so when you have someone in your workforce with you, you want to help keep them focused on the day job, especially in our industry where it's so important, where safety is so important to keep those folks focused. All right, I am going to be talking about applying the law of inertia to our work-life balance. I'm going to be talking about encouraging the new person, the new gal on the crew, and I'm going to be talking about using good media coverage during this presentation. And all of it is going to be wrapped around this concept of motivating and encouraging one another. In this industry, in this talk, I know you guys wanted to hear a little bit about some of the pulse of the industry, having my finger on the pulse of the industry. So I do want to go over a couple of things that are going on out there in the industry and how we can motivate one another through these things, through what's going on, how we can have all hands on deck with this. I mean, right now, it is so important to keep our eye on quality control, quality assurance. QC, QA is still a big deal out there. It's still so important when we bring the new person on board. How do we explain to them quality control, quality assurance is so important to what we do day in, day out. When you bring in the new gal on the crew and you're encouraging her to do each step of the process right, well, why? Why does she need to do each step of the process right? We need to motivate this individual and explain to her why is quality control so important? Why is doing this particular step with the paver so important? Why is it so important? We need to explain that to the new person on the crew. We have an opportunity to explain to the new gal, here's why this is important. Here's why it's going to keep you safe. Here's why it's going to keep the worker next to you safe. Here's why this is good for the entire crew, for all of us, not just you. I think what I'm trying to explain is when we're bringing in the new person today, when we're bringing the new people into our industry, the new people who are coming to our workforce today, they don't necessarily have the same motivations or the same viewpoints that I did, that you did, that some of our older folks did when they came into the industry 10 years ago, a dozen years ago, 20 years ago. We're not motivated by the same things anymore, but we still need to communicate why things are important, why it's important to do the job right, why it's important to pay attention to different safety aspects. It's so important to make sure we're expressing this to each person who comes onto the crew. Because if we don't, we lose that person tomorrow. They don't come back. They don't feel welcomed. They don't feel like they're part of the crew. Why should they come back if we don't make them feel like they're part of the crew? One of the messages that we need to counter out there right now is the idea that our industry is not welcoming. We want to let folks know, yes, we are a welcoming industry. We are bringing people into the fold, and we are expressing that we have safety cultures. We have a culture of caring. We have a culture that welcomes and encourages and helps one another. One of our workforce development initiatives that we have been working on in this industry over the past few years is that of a mental health wellness initiative, of helping one another in our struggles. when you have someone on the crew who is having a struggle, you can reach out to that person, help them to reach out to HR, maybe help them reach out to a supervisor. You can say to this individual, hey, I see that you're struggling today. How can I help you? Can we go talk to HR? In our industry, we have the opportunity to help one another in this way, and we have the opportunity to tell the story of we are a culture of caring. We are an industry that cares about one another. And as we share that story, as we make that message known, we can bring more people into the industry and into the fold. And as that message gets out, we can get more people interested in what we're doing in this industry. We can show that we are a culture of caring. We are an industry that cares. Right now, I have noticed, or I've found online, there are these viral videos that go around of people who talk down about the construction industry. There are people who want to put down the human resources part of our industry. They want to put down the culture in our industry. There's a fellow, I wrote it down, if construction jobs had HR. Of course we have HR. But there's a gentleman out there on the internet right now who is making these viral videos that mock our industry and mock the fact that we're trying to have a culture of caring. We need to counter that with, hey, our culture of caring is what's helping one another in this industry. Our culture of caring is what's bringing people into this industry and improving the mental health wellness of the people in this industry and making things better for each person on the crew. And for this, it takes all hands on deck. So each person has to be a part of the process. Each person has to be involved. Now, to get to our law of inertia, I want to talk about how the law of inertia tells us that a body at rest tends to stay at rest, and a body in motion tends to stay in motion. So if you discover that you are at rest, you are more likely to stay in that position or stay unmotivated, stay like in a feeling of burnout or in a feeling of, oh, today I don't want to get up and go to work. Or, oh, today, it's the weekend, I want to stay sitting on the couch watching TV. You want to find some way to motivate yourself. Figure out what day of the week is your most productive. Figure out what chunk of time in your life you are most productive. Find something, find some element where you are being your most productive, where you're feeling your most motivated, where you're feeling yourself your most creative, where you're feeling like, hey, on the job today, I was doing my best work at this thing. I was most motivated about this part of my job. That is the thing that is going to keep you in motion. That is the thing you want to replicate. You want to go to your supervisor and say, hey, I really enjoyed this part of the job. I really enjoyed this piece of what we did today on the I-95 project. I really enjoyed this piece of what we were doing in the lab today. This is the piece that I would like to do again. Find out what it is about your job that gets you motivated, that gets you excited, that helps you so that you can help the others around you too. What are you most motivated about? That is what gets you out of rest, right? That is the force that gets you moved, that gets you motivated. If you can find that, if you can figure out, okay, what is it that motivates me? If you can find that, if you can replicate that on the job, in your personal life, in your side hustles, in your dreams, if you can replicate that, then that will be the thing that gets your body in motion and keeps your body in motion. Now, when we are working side by side with other folks in the field and we've got our bodies in motion, we want to encourage one another. We want to be careful because what the Newton's law tells us, when that body is in motion, the only thing that's going to stop it is an outside force. You don't want to be an outside force that stops somebody in their tracks. You don't want to be the outside force that comes along and maybe like bounces somebody out, derails them or bounces them out of the track that they're on. You want to be an outside force that is encouraging. You want to be an outside force that can help motivate someone along the track they're on. keep them on a good track, if they're on a good track, right? So you want to be a good outside force, a good motivational force in someone's life, in your own life, in what you're doing, in your day job, in the side hustle, in those extra dreams that you have, okay? Keep in mind, if you've got employees who are working for you, the day job isn't all that they have. The day job isn't the only thing that they have going on. They've got their church life, they've got their home life, they've got the kids to get to school and to extracurricular activities. There are other things that might be motivating your employees besides just running the paver, besides just running the milling machine. And while women are wonderful at operating rollers, women are excellent milling machine operators, there are other things that motivate them besides being an awesome milling machine operator. Figure out what it is that motivates the women on your team and the men on your team. Figure out what it is that is getting them up out of bed in the morning, getting them to the job site, getting them excited about the project. If you can figure out what that is, if you can help to keep those bodies in motion, if you can replicate what it is that's got them excited, then you can keep them on that good track. You can keep those bodies in motion along that good track. All right. Personally, me, I am so productive on a Tuesday. You guys, I can get more done on a Tuesday than all the other days of the week combined. And I've told my boss this, I'm like, don't interrupt me on a Tuesday, because Tuesday I'm doing so much work for you. I can get so much done on a Tuesday. So I try to replicate the things that I accomplish. I try to replicate the systems that I have set up to accomplish things on a Tuesday on Monday and on Wednesday. I try to replicate these things so that I can be productive on the other days of the week too. If you can figure out, hey, on Wednesdays, I am so productive when I get home on a Wednesday evening, I get so much done Wednesday night. If you feel that, if you figure that out, Wednesday night is my most productive, figure out what it is that gets you into that mode. Figure out what it is. Okay, what's got me so productive Wednesday evening? What is it, and how can I replicate that so that when I get home Wednesday evening, I get all this stuff done? Well, how can I replicate that for Thursday evening? How can I replicate that for Monday evening? Figure these things out so that you can continue to be that body in motion and you can get all of the things done that you want to get done. Now, what I'm saying sounds like I want you to be productive like every minute of every day. That's me. That's my type A personality. That's the way I'm wired. Sometimes we do need to be a body at rest. Sometimes we do need to sit down on the couch, relax for a minute. But for me, if I sit down and I relax for too long, all of a sudden I'm that body at rest. And it's going to take a force to come along and push me out of being a body at rest. If you find yourself in that position, look for what motivates you. Remember what it was that gets you up and gets you moving along that good path, okay? And do that for your coworkers, your employees, and the others around you as well. Now, I want to talk about welcoming our new gal to the crew, encouraging the new gal on the crew. And this will apply also to people who've been on the crew for a few years, people who are coming back after the down season, people who've been on the crew for 12, 20 years as well. Back when I started at Asphalt Contractor Magazine in 1998, I joined, and the couple that hired me put me in as the associate editor of the magazine because we knew that the editor, Lucy, was going to be moving on to a bridge magazine. We knew this was happening. I had to learn Asphalt in a few months. Okay, learn Asphalt so you can be the editor now. Well, that got fast-tracked, and all of a sudden, Lucy didn't have time to hold my hand. She didn't have time to teach me the stuff about Asphalt. I had to learn it and learn it fast and get on board. And I remembered this and that experience when we hired someone at Asphalt Pro to help me. We hired an assistant editor. Her name is Sarah. She's still with us, thank God. We hired Sarah to come on board and be our digital editor and do some extra work to help me out. And I remembered how I had floundered without help when I first started in our industry. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want her to flounder. I don't want her to feel that lost feeling, that lost experience that I had. I want her to feel welcomed. I want her to feel part of the family, and I want her to stay. Most importantly, I want her to stay in our industry. So what I did is I sat down in my office in Florida, and she was in her office in Missouri, so half a continent away, and I drew up a little diagram on a piece of paper of here's a little haul truck, and here's a little MTV, and here's a little paver, right? I mean, I drew the whole paving train for her. And I had little arrows and little descriptions, okay, this is gonna deliver 18 to 20 tons of mix. And I told her, don't worry about the plant yet, we're gonna focus on paving first. And I described for her everything you have to know, everything she needed to know at first about paving, right? I did this, and I gave her a copy of Asphalt Lane, because I had done a children's activity book called Asphalt Lane with Easy Street Company. I gave her one of those. I mailed this off to her. I'm like, call me when you get this. Let's go over it together. I mean, I wanted her to get the basics. I wanted to help her. And this is what we've got to do for the new person on our crew. We've got to get them in, and we've got to let them know, welcome to the family. We want you to be part of this. Now, we've got this guy that I mentioned, this person who's online making videos that are so detrimental to our industry. We've got this person, some others out there who are saying we don't have a culture of caring. They're making these videos that are mocking what we've got going on in our industry and saying, well, it's not our job to train the new guy. Yes, it is our job, everyone in this room, it is our job to help train that new person, to help make that new person feel welcome, to feel at home in our industry, and to know, yeah, we want you here. Yeah, we want to make you successful so that we're successful, so that we're all successful, so that our quality control and quality assurance goes up, so that we make good pavements, so that we're all safe together. It's a safety culture, and it's a culture of caring. We're in this together, and we want it to work. And we want you, as the new person, to succeed. And when you give that person that message, they're going to come back tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And all of a sudden, we've got a new worker who's going to stay. All right, so we're encouraging that new gal on the crew to stay and do this. And you guys, when we're encouraging these people and when we're training them and we're building that good culture, we want to shout that from the rooftops. When we've got a new person who's come on the crew, I want you guys to call Sandy at Asphalt Pro Magazine and say, hey, Sandy, we've got this new gal, and she's wonderful. She's great. She knows how to do this already. We've just trained her to run the roller. Call me and tell me about it, because I have a section in the magazine where I feature women of asphalt. I've got sections in the magazine where I write project stories about the cool stuff you guys are doing out in South Carolina. All over the country, we write project stories that show the good stuff you're doing. All the trade publications do this, okay? But I think we do it really well at Asphalt Pro. But I want you guys to contact me. Be cautious when some of the general media, like the local Channel 5 News, when the local channel news calls you, when the local paper calls you, be cautious about their agenda. And when you contact a trade publication, or when a trade publication contacts you, we're in the industry. Most of us, we are your friends. I personally love the industry, in case that's not obvious. I love the industry. I want the industry to succeed. I want the industry to look good. I am not going to put in Asphalt Pro Magazine something that disparages what you guys are doing out there in the field. If someone has dumped 5 tons of mix in front of your paver, I'm going to ask you, okay, was the flashing messed up on the front of the paver? Did you guys fix it then? How did you fix it? That was a challenge you overcame in the field. Let's talk about how you overcame that challenge in the field. That's what we're going to talk about in the article. The Channel 5 News might not talk about how you overcame the challenge. They might be talking about, oh my gosh, this contractor made a mess on the road. So be cautious about that, right, when you're talking to the media. But when you're talking to the media, talk to us. Tell us your good news. Tell us the good things, because we want to shout from the rooftops the good stuff that our industry is doing. We want to shout from the rooftops that women in asphalt are kicking butt. You guys, the number of women in our industry has risen. We are doing good things in our industry. We are ushering in this sense of a caring culture. If you talk to Cal Beyer, who is now with an insurance company, he will share with you how the women in this industry are leading the charge in the mental health, wellness, and suicide prevention issues. We are leading the way, and we are helping our colleagues in this industry. We are doing so much, and it is such a good thing to have that culture of caring and culture of safety. Now, I'm telling you to shout about the good news from the rooftops. Yes, and Having that good media coverage also comes in handy when you're going to your town hall meetings, when you need to do an upgrade at the plant and the EPA is saying no. You can show them your good media coverage as well. Hang on. Okay, some of the stories that we're looking for in Asphalt Pro is to highlight people like the women of Asphalt, the folks in your companies who are doing good things and your good projects. We want to shout that from the rooftops and show that we are not bodies at rest. We are bodies in motion and in motion for good, positive things. I know I did that very quickly because I have practiced it too much. But you guys, thank you so much for coming to my TED Talk. I want to thank you. I want to thank the women of Asphalt, the South Carolina branch, for hosting me today and letting me talk about motivating and encouraging one another in our industry. Thank you so much. If you have questions for me about the magazine, I can certainly answer them. That's all I have. Thank you.